I want to make a quick testimonial video of the reason behind Spoken Truth Revival. It has to deal with after the loss of my son and what I went through as a father and what I went through as a believer, wrestling with my faith and everything like that. I remember the day that he passed away, October 15th, 2023. I remember that day like I'm remembering pretty much everything right now. I don't know how to explain that. But I got up that morning, remember walking past back and forth, him laying on the couch, didn't really recognize it, just looked like he was in a sleep. And something dawned on me. As soon as I looked at my son, I noticed something was wrong. And I came up to him and I saw this thing coming out of his mouth. I can't remember what it was. And I saw the paleness of my son. And I remember going and thinking for a second, but then I remember running back and forth and yelling throughout the entire house that something's wrong with David. My wife came out the bathroom. My older son came out of his room. Everybody's yelling. They all run up to my son. I'm on the phone with 911. My older son's giving CPR. My wife's on the other end trying to speak life into him and come on, David, and trying to clear things out. And then I remember this yell that I don't ever want to remember again. It was my younger son, Elijah. I remember him yelling and crying. And it was just a horrible scene. But I remember even in that moment and being in that state of shock, you know, even through the tears and everything like that, the military taught me something well. And it taught me pretty much, I could say, how to be a robot. And I remember just trying to get things done, trying to get things handled. Paramedics show up. Immediately as they get there, they say that he was gone for hours. There was nothing that they could have done. Police officers show up. They turn my whole house, everything into a crime scene. So now I have my son from the couch laying on the floor with a blanket over his entire body, over his face. 2 police officers standing in front of my door, one to the left, one to the right, not letting us inside of the house because now there has to be an investigation. 18 years old, what happened to him? We don't know. But I remember I had to use the restroom, wherever the case was, and they would let us in just do that because they were compassionate. They weren't being all bad like that. But I remember going into the house and walking in there and seeing my son laying on the ground. Seeing my son laying on the ground like that, it still haunts me. It still haunts me. It still affects me. It affects me emotionally. It affects me, the anger that I still have, the bitterness, why, what happened to him, what was going on. And it was just like living in this nightmare. I was in this nightmare that I couldn't wake up from at all. Going back outside, the yelling, the crying, the house full of people and stuff like that, you know. And had him there on the floor for hours. My son was just laying on the floor for hours until they finally came, the medical examiner's office. They picked him up, they put him on the thing. And he's laying on this gurney, right? And I remember when they wheeled him out. I remember me saying goodbye to him. And as a parent, you know, I couldn't go with my son. I couldn't go with my son. And as a parent, as a father, type of father I am, and I know I'm not the only one, the guilt that I have is I wasn't able to protect my son. I wasn't able to go with him to where he was going to. It was just in my mind, just picturing him going into some type of cooler and what they were going to do to him and things like that. And remember that first night I came out the house, and I remember coming outside, and I remember just looking up into the sky, and I just started yelling. I just started yelling as loud as I could, saying, "David, where are you? David." I didn't hear no answer. I didn't hear nothing from God. I didn't hear nothing from nobody. I didn't hear nothing from anything. And I spent my entire time in this anger. And I was so mad. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. I just wanted to destroy everything. Then they took them, like I said, backtrack, they took them. I remember going back inside the house, and I had to start cleaning up the blood, and I had to start cleaning up everything. I had to start picking up the pieces, grabbing his clothes, folding his clothes, putting things up. I had to leave the house to go get dinner for the rest of the kids. Nobody wanted to eat, but it was just, I was programmed, I had to do it. So I go grab the stuff, go out, boom, boom, come back. My chest was hurting, my chest. I remember that pain. It was just something here, it was just burning, just something burning, and I couldn't sleep. And I went through a whole mummification through all that. Through his cremation, through everything. It was just the fact that I was never going to see that's the only thing that kept going through my mind. I was never going to see my son again. 18. It was supposed to be me. It was supposed to be me. I was supposed to go before him. I was supposed to leave this world. He was supposed to go to my funeral, not me go to his. I was so mad. I spent days like that, months. I'll go out to the park, last park we went to, I would sit there, I would cry. And I would sit there and cry out more. God give me a sign. God, I was so angry at God. I was so angry. I wish I had him in front of me, and I would throw sticks in the air. I was like, I just wish I had him first so I could slap the crap out. I was like, I was so mad. And this is me expressing my anger. I'm being real with y'all. I was just so mad. A funny thing started happening though. Oh, weird thing. Certain little signs started hitting me from everywhere. And I remember on 3 separate days, and I talk about this in my book, on 3 separate days I went walking, and I found 3 Bibles. 3 Bibles laid open. And at first I didn't think nothing of it until I found the other one, and I found the other one. And then I was like, okay. And I just, after that, and that's why I call it a healing journey. I got a lot of videos talking about the healing journey through the 5 stages of grief, you know, and things like that. I started to understand more. But then God started to do things in my life that I consciously didn't know what was happening. See, but what was going on during the time after me thinking about it was that the grief in my life where I dealt with my son, the grief was so loud in my head and in my spirit and in my heart that I couldn't hear the small whisper of God's voice consoling me and talking to me and being there with me. God was there with me, and I couldn't hear him because of my anger. My emotions were so loud. Nights went through, and then months. It's not easier. I'm not at a point right now where I can say it's more easier, because it's not more easier. It's not. I lost my son. I lost my child. I experienced something that nobody should ever experience. No parent should ever have to bury their child. But I had to go through that, and I don't know why. Spoken Truth Revival, my channel, what I have going on, Spoken Truth Revival was born out of the ashes of my grief, out of the ashes of my burdens and everything that I have went through. I believe now that God has a purpose for my life, that God has a calling on my life. And for me, thinking about it now, and I say unfortunately, but not in a bad way, it is through my hurt, and it is through my pain, it is through my crying, it is through every tear, everything that I have gone through. God has not wasted any of that pain. There is pain in the purpose. And I'm here to share that with every single one of you guys, that the pain that you are going through in your life, in this very moment, there is purpose in that pain. It's hard to believe, I know that. But I'm here to tell you guys that God is walking with me, because I'm not even going to sit there and say that he has brought me out. No, God is walking with me in this journey, in this healing journey, through the wilderness, through the storm. I am still in it, but he is walking with me. And even though I don't feel like doing things, like I don't feel like making this video and being vulnerable and crying with you guys on YouTube, that's not who I am. You can ask anybody, my friend, that's not what I do. But I have to be vulnerable to show you guys to be authentic with you guys, to show you guys the emotions of what we really go through. And as men, this is what we need to do. So I'm here doing it. There's going to be a lot more on my videos. I'm already seeing them past the mark that I wanted to go through on this testimonial video, because I can honestly be here forever and ever and ever talking about what God has done since that time in my life, since what I've gone through, and I'm still here. He passed away 3 days before my birthday. Even my birthday has changed, but in a good way. So thank you guys for sharing my heart, or being here as I share my heart. Check out the videos. If you stayed here this long, God bless you. But this is the real thing. It's authentic. God bless you guys.